list was hard to do.
Yep. Yeah, super hard. Wish I could have had 12 names.
Yeah.
Probably more when you start talking about your list.
That's right. So people are going to be... Feelings are going to get hurt.
That's right.
People are going to get angry. This is not going to turn out well.
That's right.
For anyone or anybody, just making sure. We had mic issues last time, so I'm just nervous about that. What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punchboard Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg, and we are back with the top 10 list, and this one's crazy. We are doing our top 10 board game designers of all time.
That's right.
And this list was
never to change.
Hard. And never to change. That's right. Of all time. Forever and
That's
ever.
Right.
Amen.
That's right. In the year 3000, you can come back and watch this video. Still be accurate.
That's right. 100% accurate. So, here's the thing about this list is the way that we've chosen these designers is really willy-nilly. A hodgepodge of reasons, whether it's the games that they designed or kind of the worlds they've created or even innovations they brought to the hobby, or maybe it's because we just have kind of personal connections with some of these guys or whatever. Like, they could have made the list for a variety of reasons, just being good looking. I got one guy on here he's just
That's random. Wow.
But these are all great board game designers and have just contributed amazing things.
Yeah, I took a different approach to that. I would say I tried to balance the volume of games that they've made with the quality. That, like, in other words, if my favorite game was designed by somebody, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to show up on this list, because a lot of my favorite games, I maybe played one game by that person.
Yeah, so on that note, I did take a different tact a little bit, is that I included some people also for just what I know of what they've designed.
Right.
Like, even if I hadn't played the designs, I know that those designs get a lot of love. And
right.
So based on my own experience of the designs I have played and the love that they're getting for other designs, I did take that into account and said, yeah, I think we should make the list. So I did do that sometimes. Father Greg, take us away.
Okay. My number 10 designer who has made games like Seven Wonders, and Seven Wonders Duel, and Takenoko, and Hanabi, and Takedo, and Oceanus. This is Antoine Bowser.
Wow. Yes.
Just that list alone, I'm like, man, that's just a great list.
Yes.
In terms of like lightweight, or light to medium weight games, there's some real gems on that list. And like Seven Wonders Duel, for me alone, is like reason to put it on, although he did do it with Bruno Catala as well.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of reasons.
Can't help but notice you didn't mention Ghost Stories out that list.
I did not mention Ghost Stories. Yeah, that's true. He did make Ghost Stories too. That's the one blemish on his record. But.
Yeah, this is the thing, is that there's going to be some designers that's going to be hard to leave off these lists just because. So yeah, this is... If you're a family and you're getting into the hobby, just look up Antoine Bowser games and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 10 is Sen Foong Lim. And so I know Sen Foong Lim from when I lived in London, Ontario. He was there, and a priest friend of mine hooked me up with a good friend of his. And a friend of his was Sen Foong Lim. And so we started hanging out, started playing games together. He started bringing designs over and play testing things. And so Sen Foong Lim is Belfour, Junk Art, Mind Management, which is probably his newest, most known game. But he also did Akrotiri. Is a nice two-player design of his. So really, really prolific designer, has done a lot. He runs the gamut. And just the way he thinks about designs, his main rule of thumb is that he really wants to bring something different to the table. And I think he does a good job of that. And his portfolio really speaks to him trying to do different things.
Interesting. I've never met a game designer in my life, so that's exciting. I would love to... No, Mind Management is really climbing on my list. I really enjoy Mutants. That's a good designer. I didn't realize he had done Akrotiri.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, my number 9... is a man by the name of, he's designed games like Ethnos and Libertalia and Blitzkrieg and Dogs of War and a personal favorite, Unusual Suspects. Great little masterpiece, and that's Paolo Mori.
Paolo Mori!
So, yeah, I just For sure, like a lot of those games, Ethnos, Libertalia, those are like my go-to games for like 5 or 6 players who want something still in the realm of like, but like who want a board game, like who don't want a party game. Like Paolo Mori is my man. Even Dogs of War plays into that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so bigger crowds, Paolo Mori is my go-to man.
Yeah, so this was a heartbreak for me. I had to leave him off my list, which is devastating because Dogs of War is like very, very, very highly ranked for me. But yes, I think he's fantastic. And again, just speaking about like unique designs, Dogs of War especially does something that nothing else does. Like Dogs of War stands alone. And like if I'm looking for games like Dogs of War, I'm never gonna find anything.
That's right.
All right, so here's my number 9 is our good-looking hunk of a man, Daniele Tassini. Okay, check this out. Tell me that this is not the best-looking man you've ever seen. And he's just like smoking a cigar,
Classic
living his
look.
life. So okay, like Daniel Tassini for me, he represents kind of this cohort of designers that, you know, there's a bunch of them that kind of design games together, cross in and out of each other's lives. But this is, you know, Voyages of Marco Polo, Council of Four, and then we get into Zolkin and Teotihuacan and Tekenu,
Tevenusi, Toletum.
Yeah, you got
all the T games.
T game. If there is like the equivalent of your steak dinner in board games, it's the games that this man produces with his friends.
That's right.
Because these are just like main course, really thinky, but fun. Like the ways that he's put dice worker placement or dice movement or dice drafting or whatever, just all those combinations, the way that he has implemented them in a variety of different games is just impressive. And bringing that to the table is great. And so these are games that are just surefire wins across the board. Now, I haven't played much of the T series myself, so this is one where I was like, no, he's good because he's hot. So he's fine in my books.
Wow.
But what I have played of his, I've always been very impressed.
My next up has designed games like Rocket Man and Anno 1800 and Brass and London and Via Nebula and Nanty Narking, which is a nice game, which was like a reimplementation of, an old game that was about a novel. It was like a space. And yes, that's the one.
Do you own this game?
I do have Nanty Narking,
you need to bring it because I played Ankh-Morpork. We're talking about Martin Wallace.
That's right, we are talking about Martin Wallace.
I played Ankh-Morpork like early on in my hobby days and had no idea what I was doing. Totally gave away what I was up to because like basically secret roles and you have different win conditions.
Right.
And it's kind of area control, but there's different ways that you gain your area control. But I totally just like no poker face whatsoever. They were like, okay, you're doing this, but but then ever since I wanted to play it because I read Discworld novels fairly often. I really enjoy that. A little disappointed with the re-theme, but happy to give it a try. Anyway, so speak more to
Martin Wallace. I mean, there's some like really different. Like Via Nebula is not a complex game.
No,
I don't remember that one very well, but I remembered enjoying it. When you showed it to me, Nanty Narking like is a simple, very easy game. Maybe a little bit overproduced, but. But then like you have Brass and Anno 1800 that are like big, heavy, very involved games, and it was like a few others I haven't even played, like A Few Acres of Snow. I'd really like to try, and I haven't played London yet, but I know you have, and I've heard good things about it from other people as well. And we haven't played Rocket Man yet either.
Well, we're not gonna.
Oh, you got rid of that?
Yeah.
Oh,
but Dave has it. Dave has it.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Eventually, not that we ever play together with Dave.
We're going to make it happen, Ragnar.
That's right, Ragnar.
But yeah, Martin Wallace, I just really, I mean, for Brass alone, that's enough, but like together with Anno 1800 and a few others.
All right, so my number 8 is kind of a left field. It was kind of a surprise for me when I was putting the list together. But Reggie Benasse. And so this is, I probably butchered his name completely. But this is the Seasons designer, Dice Forge, Lords of Zenith.
Yeah.
And so why he made my list was that these games draw me into a world. And I love that they all share kind of a shared universe. And And I just love just the creatures that are about and the colors that burst forth. But the designs themselves, like Seasons especially and Dice Forge, just really pop for me. And they're games that I've had in my collection, gotten rid of, and gotten back in my collection. Seasons not yet, but will be. For sure. Seasons only left my collection because it's hard to master. It's like you play Seasons with people who've played it before and you're toast, man. But like these are games that are just like super fun, really cool mechanisms at play, innovative games, I would say. And so just had to give him kudos. Had to just say, yeah, let's rock and roll.
That's an interesting one. Wow, I never even considered that. My next one, I like him. Not because of the cigar, but yeah, it's that Yelich Tashini.
Come on! Don't deny that this is not one of the best looking men you've ever seen in your life.
But yeah, together with the other designers like David Tershi and I forget the other guy that he often designs games with, but like very few of his games are actually just him. It's always like him with somebody else, Yeah. But you're right, they do make a great like team. So like whether you call it the whole board and dice team or whatever,
right?
Just the T series games. Really, and I mean Marco Polo I enjoy as well. Haven't played Zolkin yet. That's one that I would like to, and to let him. Father Dan has it up on the go for our next get together.
Okay,
so,
great.
But he's really enjoyed it in his first couple plays. So I'm really excited about that one. Daniele Tashini just for the heavy weight things.
That's right.
It's exciting.
Super rock and roll. Okay, my number 7, and this is just kind of one of your no-brainers, probably on most people's lists. Maybe not on Father Greg's list, but Eric M. Lang. Okay, so probably the most prolific board game designer in recent history. Just keeps on pumping out, and like a lot of games for Simon or Komini or not. He gives a big box games. He has his trilogy, his like Ancient God trilogy, your Blood Rage, your Rising Sun, and your Ankh. He designed Arcadia Quest, which is a personal favorite of mine. Really enjoy that. And just all sorts of, Marvel United he has his hand in. He just has his hand in all sorts of these just big box, mini full games.
Right.
And so just like the gift he is to the hobby is undeniable. And the fact that he just creates fun for a lot of people. And my son Owen is always bugging me that I don't own more games with minis in them. And so at least Eric Lang brings some to the table that has lots of minis. And when you get like past the surface look of just these games looking amazing and just like feeling epic on the table, you get some really great mechanisms to play with. And he's just a really smart designer. Hardly makes flops. I think it just needs to give him kudos. Eric Lang.
That's a guy I completely forgot about. I don't know if he would have made my list. He might have been like 11 or 12 or something. But that's a good pick. Cool. My number 6 is a guy who publishes a lot of the games that he makes. And that is Ted Allspach.
Okay, all right.
So Ted Allspach.
See you later.
Why you get that? That's sad. Castle Mad King Ludwig, Suburbia, Maglev Metro that I've not yet played, but I'm really excited to get into my hands. The whole One Night series, One Night Ultimate Werewolf or whatever. And then Subdivision. I didn't realize that he's not actually credited as the designer of Subdivision.
Oh, but it's
which surprised me, but it's like Bezier Games. I just like everything from Bezier Games. I just assumed he made. I think it's like one of the few that he produced, but he hasn't designed. But.
Well, I can recognize that this man designs really great games, and I am really intrigued by Maglev Metro. I think it looks excellent. Kind of gives me some Russian Railroads vibes. My number 6 won't be a surprise, although he almost didn't make the list. Because of his godforsaken design, My Farm Shop. But Rudiger, all things can be forgiven. But Rudiger Dorn, again, this is like this gets into my wheelhouse. This kind of shows my true colors in terms of what I go for a game, in terms of like family weight to medium weight Euro that you can easily kind of get off the shelf. Some of the designers that are on my list are there because I just go to their games often for the sake of my company. So Karuba gets played like crazy, and Luxor gets played like crazy at our church game nights and at home here. Istanbul just really Istanbul for me is kind of this like distillation of the Euro. If I wanted to be like, hey, you don't know what Euro games are? Like, that's a good like entryway into the feels and the vibes, but also in a fairly short playtime, doesn't overstay its welcome, this kind of thing. So there's some Rudiger designs like Goa that have gotten a lot of acclaim that I would like to still try out myself and see how I like them. But yeah, so Rudiger makes a list.
My next designer, and unfortunately his co-partner didn't make the list, and they designed so many games together, but they've also designed some games apart, and so I had to rank one over the other. And so this is a designer with games like Paris and Riverboat and Palaces of Carrera and Coal Baron and Vikings and Heaven and Ale and Azul. And this is Mikhail Kiefling.
Yeah, for sure.
And yes, the other guy being Wolfgang Kramer.
That's right.
A lot of those games are co-published with him.
Yeah.
Palaces of Carrera, Coal Baron.
Yeah. Well, the Tikal, Mexica.
That's right.
All that stuff.
But yeah, Kiefling, oh man, he's just... Now we're into like the guys that if I see a game that comes out by them on the shelf, these are guys from this point onwards, it's like, these are guys that I'll just buy it.
Well, speaking of the quintessential Euros, I think the title should probably go to them. Yeah, no, for sure. That's good stuff. My number 5 is coming in, Antoine Bowser.
Wow.
I just couldn't I was putting my list together, I totally forgotten about him, and so I was just like, well, I guess he goes here. Because he just comes on the scene like Seven Wonders alone kind of puts him onto this list. And then beyond that, you have all the games that you mentioned, your Takenoko, your iterations of Seven Wonders.
Right.
But Ghost Stories for me just gets him up there like crazy. Like I just think if I'm looking for just kind of family fun, there's a whimsy to his designs. I think I call it like with him and Bruno Catala, I kind of put like the French design school, Bruno Feduti. Like there's a certain spirit about their games that like you're not gonna have a bad time.
That's right.
And you're gonna be brought into something like fantastic. Like with Hanabi just like rolling on the floor laughing, trying to figure out how to accomplish this puzzle, you know? So Antoine Bowser, you did a good thing.
For my number 4, we're going to the land down under.
Okay.
And here we have another duo. These guys, I think it's fine to put them together because every time they design a game, their names are both on the box.
That's right.
And that's Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you've got now Shem Phillips did the North Sea apart from S.J. McDonald, so that's just Shem Phillips.
Okay.
So Raiders of the North Sea. But then also the West Kingdom series, the South Tigris.
Yes.
That whole, even Circadians and all that.
And just in terms of creating worlds and like creating sort of a vibe, like and just sort of for a while there, it was the same size boxes.
That's right.
Small box.
I love those boxes. Oh.
And really, really, you know what you're going to get by and large. And like the fact that they're like trilogies share mechanisms.
Right.
Yeah.
And even iconography, like, yes, it's a huge help to pull out a game. And as I'm just examining the cards, I'm already like, oh, yeah, I know what this does.
Yeah.
Even before I've even looked at the rules. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Unfortunately, they did not make my list.
Wow.
I still need to investigate more of their games.
Right.
More like I want to play Viscounts. I haven't played Architects. You know, these kinds of things. Okay, here we go. Number 4. We're getting to the heavy hitters here. The kind of no-brainers.
that's right.
Stefan Feld did indeed make my list. He did indeed make my list. I've kind of had a resurgence, a renaissance of discovering Stefan Feld. He used to be kind of out of reach for me. I used to find him obtuse. And then I realized, he's actually fairly like squarely in the medium weight genre. He has a couple of quite heavy games, but by and large. And so after having some positive experience with solo plays of Castles of Burgundy, always loved Bora Bora. newfound discoveries like Bonfire and Strasbourg. So just really, really enjoying rediscovering/discovering Stefan Feld. Bruges was a big hit for me this past summer. So, and the fact that I met him at Gen Con doesn't hurt.
Wow.
I said, are you Stefan Feld? He's like, yes. I was like, oh, I love your design. Like, my favorite is Bora Bora. He's like, mine too. I was like, okay.
He said his favorite was Bora Bora?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was probably lying just to make me feel better about my choices. But
wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. He just barely did not make my list. Okay. I was so sad. But you're right. Bonfire is great. Castle of Burgundy. I mean, Castle of Burgundy alone is great. Aquasphere was probably the reason why he didn't make the list. But
that's fair enough.
Yeah. No. Carpe Diem. Another one. Great one.
Yeah. I still need to get that played. Yeah.
Good choice. So number 3. Now we're getting into these are the real big hitters. These are the best of the best. This person has designed, oh man, a lot of good games like Kokoro, Avenue of the Kadama, and Capital Lux, and Automania, and Trails of Tucana, and The Magnificent, and Escape Curse of the Temple, and Santa Maria, the driest Euro game ever, and Revive that I really, really do want to play.
Okay.
And that is Christian Amundsen Osby.
Yeah.
With the O with the line through it, the little Swedish O. So, yeah, his designs, especially recently, the things he's been pumping out are just exceptional, and just really like the Magnificent is this really cool theme. Like Automania just had this nice flow to it. Even like say like his old ones like Escape Curse of the Temple. That's probably one of my favorite real time games. If somebody's like really want a good real time game, I'm like, all right, sweet, let's do it.
So you don't include Leif Svensson?
Sure, I mean,
in this.
Yeah, sure, put them together. Okay. That's fine. Yeah,
I feel like they're together. I don't.
Yeah, know. That's fine.
I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot.
Wow,
I'm so sad. My number 3, I did keep them together. Kramer and Kiesling. This is just feel good Euro stuff. This is what you want. You want the fireplace going. You want a little table. You want a little coal baron set up. You just want to have a good time. You want lots of majority scorings. You know, let's do a lot of that stuff. Lots of games that have very similar shared mechanisms, but just kind of small variations of those types. Let's just have a good time. You know, you played a couple of their games. You played them all, but keep them coming, boys.
That's right.
Keep them coming.
And they've been producing games like Wolfgang Kramer made El Grande in, 95 or something like that? Like, years. They've been producing them since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Number two, this guy produces some pretty heavy games. This is a pretty sort of heavyweight designer. But except for maybe one exception to that. That would be Isle of Skye. But other than that, you got Great Western Trail. You got Blackout Hong Kong, Maracaibo, Boone Lake. This is Alexander Pfister.
Pfister.
Yeah, whatever he comes out with, I'm game, man.
You're there.
That's one of those guys where like recently everything that he's put out, whatever he produces next, I just go through and I'm like, cool. I don't know anything about it, but I might as well buy it. But yeah, Alexander Pfister, the man.
He's a guy that I've sort of identified as out of reach for me a little bit, which is probably not true.
Not so bad. Yeah. A lot of like Boone Lake is, I think, reasonably accessible. It's really good. Like it's a heavy game, but maybe medium heavy. Depending how you rate that.
I just gotta flex some of these muscles here. Get some of this stuff played. Okay, here we go. Number 2 for me. Paul Denon. So Paul Denon. He basically got 2 things going on right now. And just like a lot of it. So he's just got a lot of Clank. He's just lots of Clank. Lots of expansions, lots of versions. We just recently played Clank Catacombs. He's like, hey, you know what I didn't do much of yet? Clank, but with tiles.
That's right.
Let's just do that. So he got that going on. And then he got Dune Imperium, and he's just like pumping out expansions for that. So you kind of look at his page, and it's just like all variations of Clank and Dune Imperium all mixed together. And by and large, when I was thinking about it, I was like, this is sort of like a very similar game. Like two versions of a similar game. They're both deck building with some kind of addition. You know, whether it's worker placement or whether it's moving your adventurers through these pathways and stuff, the cards are doing something else other than just being cards. But very still different in what they bring to the table. And so Dune Imperium for me is just like love, favorite. Clank is, I see the appeal, I like it myself. It still like lags for me. Like there's something I'm missing, some of the intangible that people love about it, I think. So that's why he isn't my number one. Because if Clank was also a home run for me, even though he just brings kind of two things to the table, it's like, wow, the two things he brings to the table. But like, yeah. Thanks to Dune Imperium and thanks to Clank still being solid, Paul Dennen gets very high on my list.
Cool. Wow. Well, my number one.
Let me guess.
Yeah, probably not really a surprise. I've talked about him enough over the past year. Games like, my first introduction to him was Last Will. Last Will, and then Prodigal's Club, Shipyard, Pulsar 2849, Underwater Cities, Praga Caput Regni, Messina, and then most recently Woodcraft. They haven't played yet, but that is Vladimir Sushi. Just, like you say, especially if I'm talking about recent games, man, oh man, am I excited for everything that this guy puts out.
Right. Like, people looking at the games that you play in a month, your top 10 board games, your top 10 designers, you're a heavy Eurogamer.
Looking at the top two, at least, for sure, yeah.
Holy Toledo, man. I couldn't get there. Like, I have a couple of designs I really enjoy. I just, like, ease of play / getting to the table, I think, really matters to me. I think if I can't get it off my shelf, that's a big knock against these guys for me. And it's not their fault. They've chosen to design a certain level of game. I just, like, ease of play is important. And that brings me to my number one board game designer of all time.
Yep.
Big surprise. Bruno Catala.
Knew it.
and Bruno comes with kind of a cohort as well. So like Ludovic Montblanc fits into here. Serge Legat, kind of he fits in here as well. So I'm not forgetting you guys in the mix of all this. But like Bruno Catala, he's often designing with other people in mind. But like he has a through line, right? So we're talking Five Tribes. We're talking Abyss. We're talking Dicetown. We're talking Jamaica. We're talking...
Ishtar. I love Ishtar.
Why do you love Ishtar? Ishtar is a bag of garbage. Anyway, we're talking Yamatai. Father Greg and I tonight, we're about to play Orichalum, which is his new design.
We're
gonna.
Oh, okay.
It's only like a 45-minute play. It'll be fun. So these are just games that, like, I'm constantly going... The amount that I play Jamaican, the amount that I get Jamaican to the table, and just, like, Shells over Camelot, just really, like... I'm always trying to look for what's a way that I can get people around the table to get this played. And not to mention just Five Tribes and Abyss just being sort of perennial, like... You ask me to play those anytime, anywhere, I am down to just play those games. So, like... He really brings things to the table that scratch kind of my gamer brain. And also don't make me feel stupid. So it's like, they're easy enough, but they are heavy enough to, they're right in my sweet spot there. And then you also have lighter fare that, like, King Domino, like, we can just keep on bringing
there's so many.
Yes, so
many games.
So many. So just, like, so prolific. And, like, I was kind of wrestling with Paul Dennen, and this is the clincher. Bruno is the man, but like his games have fallen for me a little bit as other games have risen to the top. My tastes have changed a little bit, but then I was opening this up, trying to learn it, get it to play. I take this shot at finally unveiling who I am. Bruno is my second name, and Catala my mother's maiden name.
Oh,
my real name is Herve Grossberg. I swore to my father on his deathbed that I would take over the family grocery store. So during the day, I honor my father's memory by being a grocer in a little alpine village, and by night, I secretly design games under an alias. But shh, this stays between us.
Wow.
Instantly, back to number one, baby. I was like, that is mess. He just runs a grocery store. And he's like probably one of the most well-known board game designers. Running his father's grocery store in memory of his father. That's some noble stuff. That is beautiful. So Bruno Catala,
that's heartwarming.
number 1.
Heartwarming. It makes me sad for keeping Uwe Rosenberg off the list.
That's right,
man.
That's right. Well, gotta keep him down a little bit.
That's right.
That guy, he's doing enough, So, party people, please let us know who your favorite board game designers are down below. We've probably left a bunch of people off the list, like Rainer Knizia didn't get a mention, Uwe Rosenberg didn't get a mention. Like, there's some heavy hitters that you guys are probably ready to scalp us for not mentioning here.
Right.
So please let your love for those designers be known. Just because they weren't on these lists doesn't mean that we don't love them and that we don't think that
maybe
they're
it
great.
does.
Well, it might. It might. So please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're already not a party person. And until next time, party people,
Have the best day.